Hola, ¿cómo está? Bienvenido. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us for another thrilling episode of Blaxit to Panama. I'm your host, Big Will. As you know, Blaxit to Panama is all about all things exodus from the United States to Panama or living abroad from the perspective of a 51-year-old black man. And we've got something very special in store for you today. But first, if this is your first time joining us on Blaxit to Panama, please, please, please do me the honor of liking and subscribing to the channel right now. Go ahead, we'll give you a second. If you're a repeat offender, you know how this works. Thank you so much. Mad love and respect. Love when I run into you guys in the wild. Keep shouting me out. Today is a very special episode for me. Last week, I had the privilege of being on a panel sponsored by Black Expats in Panama. This is a Facebook group that is dedicated to the experience for Black expats in Panama, those who are looking to come to Panama, those in Panama, those who are looking to go abroad to maybe other Caribbean destinations. It's a wonderful, wonderful place for you to go to get your research done, to connect with people, to network. There's business directories. We're talking about hotels and Airbnbs and the best way to travel and what to avoid. So please, please, please do yourself a favor and check out that. The link is below. The forum that they held was focused on black men living abroad, why they left the U.S., what inspired us to leave, what did we do about it, how did we do it, why did we choose Panama, all these questions answered and more. And it's a phenomenal discussion of a diverse group of black men, different economic backgrounds, different professional backgrounds, different geographic backgrounds. Some of us, like myself, just got here about 3 months ago. Some of us have been here for 20 years. So I'm really excited to bring you this content. Now, one thing of note, the full discussion is about 2 hours. So it takes a while to digest. This is an elephant, and the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So I've taken the liberty of linking some chapters below so that, you can nibble a little bit, take a break, come back, take a break, and eventually find yourself having eaten the whole elephant and been fed with some of the knowledge and blessings that came forth from this discussion. I was fed myself and learned more. And again, I've been here 3 months, so let me stop talking right now and get you to the content, all right? And again, once again, please, 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 don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, here we go, fam. Love you.
Corazón, tú me pides 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 corazón. Y ya no sabes lo que pasa. El primer verso, papi. Yeah. Lo que manda aquí la clave. Este ritmo guaguanco. Esto es lo que existe. Y también está mi chamaco. Nadie nos resiste. Che, no resiste. Aquí estamos bravos. La chema tan brava. Esta vida es brava. Y yo también soy bravo. Por eso lo que repica son los cueros. Aquí lo que suena fuego.
We are just starting the recording. For everybody that is joining in, I just want to thank you for taking time to be with us tonight. I am really excited to have these distinguished gentlemen with me. You know, sometimes we can talk about different things, and I definitely have my perspective and my opinion on different things, but it's nothing like going to the source. And as far as being a Black man in America, I'm sorry, guys, I just cannot really speak to that. So, you know, what you do is you bring in the big guns. So we brought in some brothers that are living abroad. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, but you know, they're going to talk to us about their experience living abroad, why they decided to make that jump from the United States to, in this case, all of these brothers are in Panama. And they're going to speak to that. And what I like is that they are different. You know, it's not like, you know, all of them are different ages. They have different backgrounds. They come from different regions and have lived in different regions in the United States. So they all have their experiences. And I think that one thing that we might just assume is that a lot of our experiences are just the same. And, you know, sometimes they are, but I think that there's a lot of variations that we can speak to tonight. And so Black Expats in Panama is a group that was started back in May of 2019. And originally the group was started to just kind of bring Black expats in the area of Panama, in the country of Panama, together to help us connect on hair care, you know, Black culture and things like that. And when COVID hit, it just grew so much, and the need of the individuals in the group grew so much that we grew. So now we offer relocation and cultural tours. We do meetups, you know, in and around the city, and just try to continue to be of value to the expats who are members of this village. We are a village. So in saying and doing that, we are trying to bring value by allowing the brothers to express themselves tonight about their experience. And I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm going to let the fellas handle their business. And so first I want my co-host, William Easley and Anthony W. Taylor, to introduce themselves. And then I want our panelists, our guests, Reginald McKamie and Damani Keene, to introduce themselves. So who's first? William or Anthony?
Will, go ahead.
Spotlight. All right. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you for taking the time tuning in. So to be brief, because I have a definite period of time.
You don't have to be that brief. Tell us what you're working with, bro.
All right. My name is William Easley. I am a federal business development guru, so to speak. I've spent 30 years running business development for federal contractors in the DC area. I still do that as a consultant through a company called Goodwill Hunting. I am 51 years old, and where I'm from is kind of a complicated question because I came here from Washington, DC, but I hail from Durham, North Carolina, where I grew up, eventually lived in Atlanta for 10 years, attended Morehouse and stayed in Atlanta, and then got to DC. So been a little bit all over. Been in Panama. This is my third month, I believe, in the coming up. But it's definitely everything that I thought it was going to be. And was there an aha moment? So there was a definitive, we have to leave now moment, yes. But in order for us to be in that position, it had to take a lot of research and everything beforehand. So I first came across Panama from a friend I mentioned at college, one of my roommates. In fact, I told him I was going to shut him out, Joe Johnson. First mentioned this to me 10 years ago when we were discussing where to retire, because we both knew that we couldn't afford to retire in the DC area. And he mentioned Panama, and I was like, the only thing I knew was the canal, so I laughed at him. And I called him this morning to apologize and thank you for doing that, because it was gospel truth. I started researching in earnest about 3 years ago previously. I looked, now 10 years ago, I did do some research then and said, okay, he knew what he was talking about. Y'all have to excuse that, I'm live. I don't know if you can hear the fireworks, but fireworks, Panama, welcome to Panama.
Fireworks, yeah, fireworks always happen in Panama for some reason.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay? Am I fragmented?
Yeah, a little bit, but you're good.
All right, I'll wrap it up and then try to do something for the Wi-Fi. Looked in earnest about 2 years ago after the election, after watching Hillary lose and seeing the direction that the federal government was going in at that time. Some executive orders came through that didn't make sense. It was just time to make a serious push for a change. There was so much going on politically, economically. Healthcare was also an issue, so there were multiple factors going on. And of course, the ever-present Black man in America, police brutality, and everything that comes along with having dark skin. We made a site visit in April. The aha moment, though, was the resurrection, not the resurrection, the insurrection. Oh, Lord forgive me. The insurrection. The insurrection on January 6th was the definitive aha, we got to bounce moment. Yeah. Because that revealed everything that, to me, that I had been thinking. I put a nice little cherry on top as far as the direction of this country or direction of the states. So that was it. That was a little over 4 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Taylor?
All right. My name is Anthony Wayne Taylor. I am an author, certified English teacher. I am originally from Dayton, Ohio, but I spent the last 34 years, mainly my adult life, in Denver, Colorado, after getting out of the Air Force. I am divorced. I have one son. He's still back there in Denver. Been in Panama for about a little over 2 months, 2.5 months now. And my aha moment, it happened as I arrived back to Denver back in 2018 from a week-long visit here in Panama. I'm walking through the airport to pick up my luggage. I see a couple of Denver cops. They're walking towards me, and I think you all know that feeling like, okay, are they headed toward me for a reason, or what's going on? But that uneasiness, when I saw those cops, I tried to suppress it, by basically just thinking about the good time I've had in Panama. When I thought of that, it hit me that I didn't feel that uneasiness when I was in Panama. I knew it was a vacation, but even with all of the police, security, cops down here, with every bank, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel as if I'm a suspect. And that was when the light bulb went on for me in regards to, wait a minute, I need to change this environment. I need to make something happen here where I'm not feeling this way. And of course, like Mr. Easley had shared with Trump coming in the office, and we all saw what happened for those next 4 years, and everything just started rolling to the point where I realized I got to make this move. And even with COVID, I was held back a year because I planned on taking a tour to Panama in June of last year, and they canceled it because of the COVID outbreak. But I kept pushing forward and saying to myself, you know what, I still got to make this happen. And I had reached out to a few people down here that I've been speaking with. One gentleman, he is actually from Denver. So we were talking, and all he kept telling me was, Anthony, do what you got to do, just get down here. And I made some pretty hard decisions, but I don't regret one thing that I've done at this point. That means getting rid of stuff, letting people know that I'm leaving, and people blowing me off. But when I got down here, people started to realize, oh, he wasn't playing around. No, I wasn't. So here I am in Panama with no regrets. All right.
All right. Thank you. And the one thing, let me just say real quickly. First of all, Bill, did you mention your Big Will TV?
Not yet. I was going to bring it up later, but yes.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
I don't want you to forget. So please tell me about Big Will TV. And Anthony, I want you to circle back real quick and tell me about your book. Just
Okay,
real quick.
I self-published a
Anthony.
book a few years ago. It's called 10 Reasons Why the Black Race Can Never Be Won. And one is spelled in two different ways, the number one, and one as if you won a race. So I point out and discuss 10 different things or areas in the book that has affected us as Black people as a whole. And I just pull the layers back and try to share with everybody that all these things that we deal with today, they stem from many, many years ago. Basically, you're looking at 400 plus years ago, and how they still linger today and affect us as a whole, as a race. So I just briefly talk about different subjects from health, the family being broken up as a whole, and just all the issues that we deal with and we take for granted that they're just issues, but they stem from something deeper than that. So that's what my book is about. You can purchase it on Amazon, and I would appreciate the feedback.
Thank you. Thank you. And then just Big Will, tell us about your channel real quick, and then we'll go to Reginald.
All right. So in addition to working as a consultant, I'm also a fledgling YouTuber. I have a channel, Big Will TV, and on that channel, you can find a show called Blaxit to Panama, Beginner's Guide to Exodus. It is a television show that is all about our experience moving to Panama, the whys, the wins, the hows. I go over the process of being an expat here, the things you got to go through. So please join us. I'll make sure that we link give you the link for you to find the show.
Awesome, awesome, thank you. And really, when I started, oh, look at you, you're so fancy.
Nice, nice.
Somebody, I wanted to say that really when I came up with this idea to do the Zoom call, I was thinking about Big Will and how he expresses his, experience as a Black man, very raw and uncut and uncensored, even pissing in the pool. You had to be there, type videos, and then listening to Anthony's story. And then Anthony and I were talking and came up with this idea to have this Zoom. So I just want to, shout them out and thank you for your involvement. Mr. McKamie, do you say your name McKamie or McKamie?
You say it perfectly, McKamie.
Ah, awesome.
Perfect.
Welcome, Reginald.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you do with Black Expats in Panama. A lot of people may not be aware of the many things that you do and how you reach out and help many people in Panama that come down to Panama. So my name is Reginald McKamie. I am a ship's captain and an attorney. I have been coming down to Panama since 1971, so that kind of dates me. And I just, like the people. I'm originally from Kansas City. In my job as a merchant mariner, and a U.S. naval officer, I've traveled all over the world. I've, was the commanding officer of Rodman there in Panama, Military Sealift Command, Panama. I was the commanding officer of Military Sealift Command, Thailand, out of Satahip and Pattaya, that area in Thailand. And so international travel was not anything new for me. I've been a resident of Panama, a permanent resident of Panama for 6 years. I enjoy the many incentives that Panama has to have people come down and live in Panama. I don't think that any country is a utopia, but it's a good country. People are very friendly. I never feel threatened by anyone or any police or anything like that. I never really had an aha moment because of all of my international travel and all of my friends who are many or Black brothers that live in different places around the world. When I decided to look at Panama, I looked at, the Philippines, I looked at Thailand, I looked at, the Virgin Islands and many places in the Caribbean. But I felt because of the strategic importance of Panama and the fact that there was no hurricanes coming through Panama, it was a good place to be. And also the infrastructure. For me, the internet has been very good, and technology now allows me to do what I need to do from Panama when I'm in Panama. And so, as I said, it's been a great ride for me. I love where I live in Casa Bonita, which is in the city, but not in the city. I have two sons. One lives in Dubai and the other one lives in London. And with that, I'll shut up, be quiet, and let Mr. Damani say what he has to say.
Thank you so much. You make some very good points about living in Panama and why you live here. And I see your sons are international too.
They are.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you, Reginald. Damani.
Yes, can you hear me?
You're up. I can hear you, but you're on mute. But it's your other one talking. So we'll just go with it.
I'm going to try it the other way.
Okay, go ahead. Because we can hear you and see you. It's just tricky.
Yeah, hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Okay, is that any better?
You're good.
Okay, great. My name is Damani Keene. My wife Ife and I moved to Panama 17 years ago during the George W. Bush administration.
Okay.
That wasn't really why we moved, but it didn't hurt. So our aha moment actually occurred in South Africa. We went there and it opened our eyes to the possibilities that we could live someplace else other than the US and afford it, and either without working full time or being retired. And shortly thereafter, we discovered Panama. It's a long story. I won't go into it now. So we were in South Africa in July. We were in Panama in December to visit for 3 days. And by, I think it was April, we were settling on our house here in Panama, house that we saw on our very first visit to Panama. We were in the highlands. We're in the highlands in Panama. I thought this might be helpful to those who are not familiar. I tried to put this red triangle approximately where we live. You can see the big Panama. Nice. That's Panama City there. So we're close to where William Easley is. He's down here at the beach. We're in the highlands, about a half hour apart. And Reginald is over here. We're close to where it says Balboa. I don't know why Balboa, that's not where Balboa is. but anyway, that's about where he is. And where are you, Anthony?
Panama City, San Francisco.
Oh, you're in the city, so that's the gold star there.
There we go.
So
and I'm over by the airport.
Right, you're out this way. Right.
Where I'm at?
Through there.
Okay,
so,
you're so fancy.
Yeah, so I thought for people who are not familiar, to look at Panama. Panama is approximately the square mileage of South Carolina, but more kind of in the shape of North Carolina, kind of longer, you know. So we're here and we love it. Panama is a very welcoming place. And I can echo, I don't know how to get out of here. Let me say. So I can echo a lot of the things the other brothers said. Peace of mind. I was here many years before it struck me that I had never felt uncomfortable driving in Panama when I saw a policeman. And look, y'all, for y'all that don't know, when the National Police pull up on a shopping center or a bank on a motorcycle, there's two of them, and the guy in the back is carrying a Uzi. And, you know, I've never felt uncomfortable. The day we moved to Panama, we arrived at night. And on the way from the airport, for some reason, I had to pull over to the side of the road. I don't remember now why. Police car pulled up behind me. Lights flashing. I said, oh my goodness. And they came to the car. They said, in Spanish, of course, sir, are you okay? Can we help you? See, well, this is different. So that was my introduction. I'll leave it at that.
That's a different kind of experience.
Indeed.
Than we have in the United States. And I think for my experience with those like machine guns, I just think of it, and that's another thing. I'm sorry. When we started this, I meant to acknowledge 9/11. We are speaking on 9/11. It's the 20th anniversary to 9/11, and I think some of us are from the DC region, and what we were doing on that day is like, I even to this day, my daughter was talking about, she's watching some documentaries and things like that. To this day, I can't watch. I was so shook. And that day was so traumatic for me, trying to get from DC to Virginia to my baby, and all the phones were out and the trains weren't working and nobody know, to this day, I cannot watch things concerning 9/11. And I just want to acknowledge 9/11 and the people that we lost on that day, the innocence that we lost, on that day, the way it changed the lives of our children and us. And, the fact that we just seem to be at ground zero 20 years later is absolutely a little bit amazing. But I did want to acknowledge this day in America. But that was the only time I'd ever seen, officers with machine guns. If you work downtown DC, I could imagine what it's like to be in a war-torn country where, there is battle on your grounds, because it was scary. There was tanks, and it was like anything I had never seen before. But at the same time, when you talk about seeing those cops here in Panama with those guns, you'd be like, well, I don't want to mess with them. But at the same time, you're not necessarily fearing for your life because you see them with those weapons. You know what I mean? So I absolutely, completely relate. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I'm going to turn it over to Will now with our first subject.
You're muted.
Thank you for that, gentlemen, and thank you, Charlotte, for that. That was a great segue based on the last discussion that Damani was leading us into for where we're about to go. And what I would like for us to discuss at this point is the overall feeling that we had back in the States when it came to police brutality. And, today, of course, as Charlotte mentioned, is 9/11. And all day I've heard, remember where you were when. I'm going to twist that a little bit and ask, do you remember where you were and how it felt when you first saw that man kneeling on George Floyd's neck until he was dead? That was a surreal. I don't want to say eye-opening, because I already knew. I already knew what the states were completely capable of. I experienced some of it myself. You know, I've had so many guns pointed at me by police officers. I can't count. I can tell you the first time when I was 14 in my own neighborhood, but I cannot tell you how many other times that has happened. I can describe incidents, and I have recollection. Somebody asked me how many. I can't write it down. Anyway, that's something I think that people should know.
Yeah.
How did it feel, and where were you when George Floyd, when you know, the officer did what he did, or it could be Eric Garner, because it was the same type of thing. I'll start with Anthony.
Okay, I was at the job working for a telecommunications company, and I was part of a division that we dealt with the cable side. So we had TVs up on the screen in the office, and my department was majority Black. So you'd have a channel with CNN on, another TV with Fox News on, maybe a movie on another channel TV. So you had all these different views, but everybody was focused on that incident. And you could never, for me personally, I never watched the full time period of what took place. I couldn't. And I can say, working with majority of the African Americans in my department, a lot of us couldn't. There was frustration. There was tension. There would be a white person that would walk by and you could just slice it with a knife. You could just feel like that separation once again was building up in that anger. And like you, we've seen enough where you've been a part of something negative, dealing with the cops, or watching another brother innocently die for no reason at all, or for a very small and minute reason. And yet this one here, and to see that guy with his knee on George Floyd's neck, and his hands in his pockets, that was the thing that was such a nonchalant, I don't care, I'm not going to get convicted. It's just who I am and what I do. So yeah, I think every one of us, we felt the hurt, we felt the frustration, but to put it out there for that length of time and to watch him struggle, and just knowing that he was somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's brother, and knowing that, hey, tomorrow it could be me. That's our reality. So yeah, that was a defining moment for so many people. But for us as Black men, yeah, that will stay with us for the rest of our days.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up on that one, Anthony. How much of a factor did the overall over-policing of Black people in America play into your decision to expatriate?
It played a pretty big part, okay? When I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, how am I going to get accomplished everything I want to do today? And I want to get accomplished all in one big, I'm off today. I want to get all this done. But I want to avoid putting myself in a situation where I could get shot and killed. There was no way to avoid that. So my errands, they had to be strategically done where, okay, Lord, let me make it through the day. Lord, let me get through 7-Eleven and get back. All I want to do is get some gas, but I want to make it back alive, okay? And for anybody else not realizing, that's in the back of your mind 24/7. As long as you're awake, you're conscious of that. So it played a big part in me saying, this has to be better. In my time down here in Panama for that brief week of just getting away and experiencing this, and I'd already lived overseas in Italy, okay, for about 3 years. So I knew about a different environment, okay? I understood that part of the process. But dealing with what we've been dealing with over the last forever with the cops, yeah, it played a big part of my decision to move down here.
Understandable. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, you touched upon some points that I know that I had to deal with as well, because I was still in the States at the time and I was still in the workforce. And I remember being there with my coworkers, watching it on television too. And then, you know, as the only Black face in the room, the expectations of me to, number one, go about the rest of my day as if I hadn't just seen that happen.
Right.
And still be, you know, present and cognizant of what you want me to do. That's just, you know, I'm done. And they just killed a Black man and with his hands in his pocket. I'm done. I'm going home. But I definitely resonate with that. Now for Reginald and Damani, both of you were already here when that happened, but I'm sure, you know, you saw it. I'm going to cheat a little bit because Damani and I have been Facebook friends for a while. I know he saw it. Damani, you want to talk a little bit about George Floyd? You know, how I felt, where you were.
Let's go to Reginald. Damani is, I think, fixing his technical issues.
Okay.
Reginald.
Yeah. One thing, I go back and forth to the United States, and I was in the United States when it happened. That's one of the reasons I picked Panama, because it's a quick 3.5-hour flight from Houston, Texas. And to me, it was just the power of technology. It's nothing new. I represent right now Jordan Edwards, who was killed before George Floyd was, a little 15-year-old from Dallas. I represent his mother against the officer in the city of Balch Springs, Texas. And I have represented many people that have been abused by police. It just happened with Jordan Edwards. His was on video. But many people prior to this time, what happened to them was not on video. So it was the officer's word against the person, the victim, that had been brutalized. And they all have qualified immunity, which makes the cases very, very difficult. It resonated with me because I have family in Minneapolis. I have brothers that live in Minneapolis. You know, it's just, to me, unfortunately, it's business as usual. You know, I've had to have the talk with my sons about being safe when they're dealing with police officers. But I don't think that we should paint a picture that you can't be hurt by police officers in Panama. I mean, they have guns. The policia have guns. And if you're doing wrong, you know, something bad might happen, or you're in the wrong place, something bad may happen. But you don't have that oppressive feeling that you have in the United States. So I want to be very clear to everybody that there's no utopia. Exactly. Panama is a great place, but you have problems. I mean, there were several people that were killed in a prison by fire in Panama. You know, those things happen. And if you got machine guns and people running around with guns, stuff might happen if you're doing the wrong thing. So I don't want to have a picture of people coming down here and saying, well, I'm gonna do what I want to in Panama and then get hurt, you know? So you need to abide by the laws when you come down here. I see a lot of people that, you know, they wanna use their, what I call passport privilege, and they be doing things that they ought not be doing down here in Panama. So, you know, So that's where I'm kind of at on that. But it was a terrible thing. It just highlighted what had happened. And in my family, in the oral history, my great grandfather was murdered in Arkansas by police or vigilantes or whatever you want to call it. But you know, that's the pressure. That's the everyday stuff that's on your shoulders in America.
I just want to say too, well, first of all, Dana Graves, she commented, she says, I agree that the look on Chauvin's face was audacious and sinister, and I'm glad for the mere precedence of his conviction, though he deserved a stronger sentence. And I totally agree with her. And I think for me that morning, I saw that story that morning, and that story ran the same day. Me and Gail King, like her or not, we always feel the same things. And Gail, there was a story about Karen. I don't know if Karen in the park was first or George Floyd, but the two of those stories together was just a little bit too much for me that day. And I was thinking that, and Gail King, I remember her saying, this is too much. This is just too much for me today. And I can remember, and I don't know about you gentlemen, but I cried. You know, it was very, I grieved, I could not believe what I was looking at. And when I thought about the pressure of a grown man's knee on your neck, I mean, your neck is sensitive. And then I don't know if people noticed that after a while, you saw water come from his body. You know, it was like he was dying. And the fact that Derek did that with his hands in his pocket, knowing that he was being recorded the whole time, that was, for me, an aha moment about the United States.
That's the problem with qualified immunity. And unless that is addressed, it's going to continue. And it is very tragic, and it was heart-rendering, but it was nothing new. Really wasn't. I mean, police officers have been abusing Black men and women for years. The only thing that is different now is that people have a video camera on their phone. So now it's highlighted. But we have to, the only way we can get past this is to get rid of qualified immunity. When it hits them in their pocket, it hits these cities in their pocket, and that will change it. That's the only thing that will change it. And I've said enough on it now.
I highly agree with that, Reginald. And, you know, from my point of view, the only way that we would get that change is through Congress, right? We're going to have to pass a law in order to get rid of qualified immunity at the federal level so that it's replicated across the entire country. But just based upon what I've seen, the slowness of this administration now and its lack of response and following through on some of the things that they promised, I've lost all faith in the United States and being able to deliver that type of, you know, justice or ability to get justice for Black folks. And that's part of what led to our leaving. You're right, this had gone on for a long time. And as James Baldwin put it a long time ago, was to be conscious and Negroes to be in a constant state of rage. Well, I'm pretty conscious. And, you know, George Floyd was just I guess the straw that broke the camel's back. But there were so many more, I mean, personal experience, friends experience, and then all the litany of folks that we've seen throughout. And the other part that I wanted to bring up was the propensity of the media to use Black trauma porn to get ratings, to sell products. you know, that they don't plan on doing anything about it, but we're just gonna show it to you at nauseam.
Mhm, mhm.
That hurts.
Damani, did you want to comment on?
Who's that?
He's back. Damani's back. Do you want to comment on how you felt, or what was it, where you were on the day that you saw the story about George Floyd?
You're on mute.
No, he's not.
He's not.
Damani.
I got
He's not on mute.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, okay, hold on, let's see.
All right, how about now?
You're good.
All right. I had to switch computers, y'all. The other one just went blank on me. I have no idea. 2 brand new computers. Anyway,
Well, we're glad you're back.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we were here, and, you know, we watched it like everybody else. And, you know, I'm a history buff. And as the other brothers have said, it's nothing new, except for the cameras. So it was shocking, you know, not surprising, but it was shocking. And the man's or the creature's inhumanity, despite realizing that there were live witnesses and several phone cameras going, his arrogance, his cruelty, his uncaring about another man's life, and his feeling of impunity is what was, I think, outraged so many people more than the normal reaction. So yeah, it was a pretty dastardly situation. But I just have to say, I'm not surprised. The history of the country and history of the world in regard to African people is replete with such kinds of cruelty on a mass scale and on an individual scale.
Well, and then just one more thing, like you said, you know, Africans are among in the world, you know, and a lot of times that some of the stuff that we see in the U.S. and the history that we have in the U.S., how it parallels with so many other countries and black people in the diaspora and beyond diaspora, and it's just amazing to kind of see the similarities that of the things that we go through, even with Reginald. You said, was it your great-grandfather or your grandfather that was your great-grandfather? My great-grandfather had a fight, and he was in New Jersey. He got into a fight with somebody, and they took him to the hospital because he was bleeding out of his ears, and you know, legend has it that they put cotton in his ears and put him outside. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like murder, you know, and a disregard for life, just disregard for life. That is just part of our history. And it's really painful when we do it to each other. You know, just gonna throw that out there. You know, as bad as it is, when other people do it, is even more painful to me when I see us do it, you know, to ourselves. And when I see, you know, these young people, like, you know, nowadays, and nowadays it's like, you know, where it used to take a village, you know, and if you did some crazy mess, by the time your mama got home from work, she was gonna know, you know, or you know who you was gonna be in trouble because Miss So-and-so was gonna get you, or Miss So-and-so was gonna get you together. Nowadays, you gotta pray and really use discernment before you even speak to a child that's out of order. And I've seen some children where I've been able to discern that this is a child that I can speak to. But some of the children, you don't know if they're gonna turn around and shoot you.
You don't know if your mama or daddy's gonna turn around and shoot you.
Huh?
You You don't know if your mama or daddy gonna turn around and shoot you.
Yes, yes, and that's a reality too. And we're gonna get ready to go to Anthony about, you know, the differences in Panama. But I'm gonna tell you one thing that really burdens my soul is this whole sagging thing. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I don't understand it. I do understand that when mama jeans and daddy jeans up to here. I get that. But for a grown man to walk around with their pants below their butt is, I still, after all these years, I kept thinking it'll fade, and it's still here. But what hurts me is to see that, and I'm just gonna say it because I do what I do, to see that shit in Panama. To see that of all the things that you could emulate from North Americans is that you want to take and wear your pants below your butt. And I'm starting to see more of that, and that disheartens me seriously. You know, it's just,
Let me chime in on that. We were on a visit to the States, and we were in Maryland, and we get ready to go in the bank. And the guy went in the bank ahead of us, so I only saw him from behind. And his pants were sagging way down. And so I think I even said something to my wife, Aoey, you know, look at that, you know. And I'm thinking as a teenager, you know, I get in the bank, dude's in line. We have to see one of the managers about a matter. And I turn around and look at him. Dude's my age.
That's even worse.
What the heck? So, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So
that's because girls like it. And old men want to be liked by girls too. And I always say, when the mamas stop having their young girls accept that foolishness, then we'll be over it. But that's a whole nother subject. So anyway, Anthony, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
All right, gentlemen, I have a two-part question for you. I would like for Reginald to start off with an answer. I'm really curious based on his past and being all over the world. How do you feel living abroad? And the second part of the question is, what are the biggest differences between Panama and the US for you?
Yeah, well, I love living abroad. I love, you know, waking up and looking at the Pacific. And I love just the whole vibe. And you know, the pandemic has changed things, but I think it's gonna come back. But I love that. Now, the biggest differences that I see really is the amount of paper, you know, that flows in Panama. And I understand that people have jobs in Panama to stamp things, so they got a job. But if Panama is going to move forward, it's got to start imaging a lot of stuff and getting away from all of the paper. The other thing is driving. As I say, I live in the city, but not in the city. So crossing the bridge is always a major issue, the Bridge of Americas, because of the traffic. But the Panamanians are dealing with it. They're building another bridge. There's rails that's going in. One of the things is I see a new rail that is going to originate at the airport and then come all the way through the city and on down. I think it's supposed to go to Chorrera. But you know, so they're working the infrastructure, those things. And then of course it's the language. You know, that's one of the things in Panama. People speak Spanish. There are many people that speak English, and they will help you, and they want to speak English to practice, while I'm wanting to speak Spanish to practice. But that's it. And you know, so those are the major things I see. one of the things that is a distractor, I think they're resolving or working on, is the trash. You see people throwing things on the side of the road, bags and things like that. And so now Panama, at least Panama City, you go to the grocery store, there are no bags. And so people need to be prepared for that. And that, I think that's going to eliminate a lot of the trash that we see on the highways. So that's it. But I love it.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Damani. Can't hear you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to repeat those two questions. How do you feel living abroad? And what are the biggest differences between Panama and the U.S. for you?
It's our first time living abroad, and of course we've been here a long time now. And we used to vacation a lot in the Caribbean. Really loved the Caribbean for vacation, but didn't want to live any place where the hurricanes were a continuous threat. And so Panama is perfect for us in that regard. So living in Panama, is our overseas, and it's been really great. I want to comment on one thing that Reginald said. When we first came here, we were really taken aback by the trash on the side of the road. And Reginald, I don't know about your area where you are, but in many areas it has really improved. Trash being picked up. And one of the things I really want to say about that is that there are neighborhoods where you go, they're lower income neighborhoods, which tend to be Afro-Panamanian neighborhoods, where you will see piles of trash at the corner. So it's not that the people are just throwing trash out. They're taking the trash where it's supposed to go to be picked up, and it's not being picked up. So, that's a question of government services and a question of government priorities. And, in relation to the other topic we were discussing, white so-called supremacy system is a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah.
And so it manifests everywhere, and it manifests even in the victims of it. And so we see a lot of, internalization of that phenomenon as well. So that's what I would say about living overseas in Panama. We live, out in the interior, as they say, in the country, in the highlands. And, the theme for me tonight is peace of mind. One day I thought about it. I think we were in the States and I heard a siren. And I realized that we'd only heard a siren up here at our place about 3 times in 15 years at that time. So, we don't have the reminders of trauma. We don't have the, the danger that's imminent around the corner that we live with. And we've already discussed the difference in experience with the police. So, tranquilo is the Spanish word for calm and cool and quiet, and that's what we have. We have a tranquil life. COVID, pandemic is another whole reality. And I'm glad we were here for it, because Panama wasn't playing with it. And people who, were mad about wearing a mask and, coughing on people in the Walmart. I mean, we don't have none of that here, Our son was down here visiting in October last year, and he was taking a walk, and he's up here by himself, and he walked by the police station up here in Sarah, and the officer pointed to him and told him to put his mask on. Nobody around him, he just out on a walk. So, they weren't playing, so anyway, so I'm not sure I answered all your question, Anthony, but.
Oh, yes, you did,
okay.
You did. And I want to point out, I want to piggyback on something you said, that it hit me about 3 weeks ago about the sirens. And I had that realization, I haven't really heard any. And it was so odd because I know people need help. You know, I know there's things going on where there's an ambulance needed or police needed, and I don't hear signs. And like you said, it brings you back to that reality of this just being more peaceful in this environment. So thank you for pointing that out, okay?
Can I jump in for a second?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, you know, as a sister girl in the group, I feel the same way. I feel the same way when I am in Panama, and, you know, I'm with Reginald, and I think it's very important that, you know, full disclosure, you know, Panama is not what you call it, Reginald, utopia. It's not, you know, and we need to be vigilant and aware, you know, and woke at all times, regardless of where we are. But it is just not that heightened necessity. And so when I'm here, I sleep. And it's little things like that that you don't even recognize. Like, wow, you know, when I'm in Panama, I actually sleep. My sleep is better. And like I said, you don't even realize it until you just wake up one day and be like, you know, I just sleep so much better here. And then, like, you know, I cut the food. And so when we're on our trips, we're on our tours and everything, and we go through, and then the po-pos stop you, they stop the van, and I don't know what they ask for, but you should always carry your credentials when you're in Panama, because they can ask you at any time for your passport or whatever. But it is just so funny because we be on the bus jamming, right? And then we get to the stop, everybody turn the music down, you turn the music down and say 50, 50. 50 was the man, you know, because in the States, you know that getting stopped by the police, you need to be able to have your full attention on what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And you turn that music down and you get ready to have an encounter with the police. And we always laugh, but at the end of the day, for real, we have, is it PTSD?
Yeah.
We are traumatized. And so it's not a utopia, but I'm telling you what, when I get off that plane, when I land back in the US, I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. It feels different. The energy is different. I just automatically get into a whole nother mode. But when I get off that plane in Panama and that mode hit me in the face, baby, I'm like, yes. You know.
Can I interject?
Yes.
One thing I forgot about, one of the things I really like in Panama is the fresh food, seafood, that, you know, you can go and have a really, you know, fresh fish or seafood, lobster at very reasonable price, and it's fresh. I mean, it was swimming that morning, you know, and you know, you just can't beat that. You just can't find that. But you know, I just had to interject that. That was one of the things that's a difference. That's the difference here.
I'm done.
Let me piggyback on something that Charlotte said, and then something Reginald just said too. In Panama, especially out here in the interior, occasionally you'll be driving and, you know, a 2-lane road out here in the country, and there'll be a roadblock, you know, police checkpoint. And, you know, if that was in the States, I'd be fitting the description, you know what I'm saying? But here, I pull up, I got my ID all ready to show, and he just waves me on. They just be like, get out of here. He waves me on. They're looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody, but they're not looking for me. You know.
William tells the same story. He said,
so is that what it feels like to have privilege? Is that what you're saying? That's what it feels like to have privilege.
Say it again, Anthony.
I said that's what it feels like to have privilege.
You're right, exactly.
And it happened to me a week ago here in Coronado, and I thought it was a fluke.
It's routine, man.
The people in front of us, but yeah, he waved me right through.
Right. What's going on with that? And then the other thing that Reginald said the other say, William, we were down your way in Coronado. We stopped there on the street, bought some fresh fish. Like Reginald said, it was swimming that morning. And we already had something else for dinner, so I didn't fix it that day. But yesterday, I fried that bad boy up. I'm telling you, if you have not, y'all, I'm telling you, if you have not eaten fish fresh out the water the same day, you've not eaten fresh fish, and it's a completely different. And I don't know what I'm doing in the kitchen, so it's not something I did. The fish itself, and it was robalo. I'm not sure. I think it's robalo. And fantastic fish, man. So.
Okay. All right. I want to go to Mr. Easley here. I want you to go ahead and answer that question for me, sir, with a 2-part question.
Okay, so living abroad, love it. I'm the newbie. I'm still in the honeymoon phase, so I'm madly in love with all things Panamanian at this point. Any negatives? Just like our local road here is a little bumpy. I know roads in Panama, some of the roads are nice and smooth, but they tend to be a little bit rougher than back in the States. But then again, if you're driving on the 295 in DC, it's the same thing.
They say that they keep the roads in your area bumpy to keep the riffraff out.
Well, you know, it's about to keep me out too. I guess I'm riffraff.
Our road is great.
Right. I drove up there. I was like, okay, this is lovely. So it's not everywhere. I don't want people to think that it's everywhere with the roads like this. Where the place where I live is privately owned, right? This whole gated community is privately owned. So that apparently the owners don't want to fix the road. So, but I love it here. I love everything. Things that are different. Everybody's really hit upon almost everything that I was going to say, like language. I came here with 2 semesters of Spanish that I took in college, and I only took it because it was a Spelman, and I needed to change the scenery up, heads all day. I need to see some women, so let me go take Spanish. But I'm doing well. I'm taking Duolingo, got a tutor, and I'm able to do things. I'm able to navigate car services, going to the clinic, and getting, talking to an orthopedic specialist about what's going on, and all kinds of stuff. So that's not been a big problem. COVID. I'm glad someone talked about COVID because I came here during the time of COVID. That's one of the last nails in the state's coffin for me was their response to COVID. And what Damani said about mask wearing, Damani, I got into an argument with someone at a liquor store in Maryland because he was standing too close to me. And I'd even taken the time to buy a T-shirt that had a picture of Sam Jackson on the back of it, Pulp Fiction, pointing a gun at you. And it said 6 feet, motherfucker, 6 feet, motherfucker. And I'm like, can you read? I bought this shirt just to not have to get to the situation.
Well, behave yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, you feel me.
You always got to take it too far.
I feel you on that. I feel you. I don't know. I don't think he's taking it too far. You got to tell some folks.
Reginald, you said you don't think he took it too far. You with him, huh?
Yeah, you got to tell some folks.
You got to tell them, man. And, I mean, anyway, their response was horrible. And I'm like, it's a pandemic. It's the science behind this, and people are dying. Do what you're supposed to do. You don't need to politicize anything. Obama did a really good job of building our ability to respond to these things through swine flu and Ebola. People don't really think about, they think Ebola outbreak, they think it was something funny. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Ebola will take you out here in 24 to 48 hours. And they built this capability to respond to that, and it was completely dismantled. And I got to see that dismantling up close. So the net effect of that, we're still realizing that. So as a newbie here, I'm dealing with wanting to go back to pick up things that I need to get. We have the booster shots coming up. We want to arrange that. We want to see family for the holidays, but now I'm thinking, you know, is it even possible? Because they're probably going to end up closing the borders to the States again, because they can't stop going to football games live or doing whatever it is that they're doing. And Panama just does this so much better.
Right.
Like Damani said, it's the temperature checks. As soon as we stepped foot here in April, we felt safer. It was
I
crazy.
think they're gonna close them borders down. I don't. I really don't. I think we're done with that. And at the end of the day, I think they're going to try to work with these mandates. And after that, whoever dies is dying. You know, it's not like in the beginning of COVID when we didn't know, where it was going, if we had something to help with it or anything like that. At this point, and I know some people are not going to like me saying this, but at this point, in my opinion, people are making choices. And you have every right to make your choice about whatever your choice is. However, it does bother me that if my children, I have children in Texas and Florida, the worst places, two of the worst places to be in the United States. And if, God forbid, if any of them get sick, they cannot receive the care that they need because unvaccinated people are taking up all of the resources in the hospital. That I have a problem with. That's no longer a choice. You're impeding on the right for my children to have the health care and medical services that they need. So I feel like because now the statistics are showing that people that aren't vaccinated are 90+% of the people that are in the hospital or on ventilators and things like that, that if you've made that choice, then you should allow other people those equipment. And I don't know how to, I feel like the insurance companies are going to step in a minute and say, listen, we're not going to pay all these bills. When science, clearly indicated that, this could help you, but you decided against it, and that is your choice. However, it's our choice not to pay the medical bills that result in it because you did not make that other choice. I think that's what's coming next. And I'm not trying to get into a COVID, vaccination conversation here, but people do feel strongly about it. And there's a lot of questions around it, and I understand that, but yeah.
I feel safer in Panama.
Me too. Me too. I don't even go out when I'm in the States. Honest to goodness, I am so much more comfortable. I don't really go to stores and stuff like that a lot anyway, but I am so much more comfortable just being out and about and living my life in Panama than I am in the United States. And, full disclosure, people are going to know in a minute anyway, we've sold our home in Virginia, and I am going to be much more permanently in Panama, and a sister cannot wait. I am not in a rush to go back to the United States. However, I am not in a rush to, be giving up my citizenship. Now, don't get me wrong. It's about having options, not cutting.
Having options.
But for us to have an option. And I think that's what I want people to take away from this conversation is that each and every one of us on this call tonight have exercised an option that our forefathers never had. Our ancestors from not that long ago couldn't even cross the street, okay, let alone the tracks without fearing for their very life. You think we got it bad now? Oh my gosh, the things that they had to live in. But the fact that we can say, you know what, I think I can do something different. And I think I can look at this other country and see whether or not it's going to work well for me and have that option. If stuff go completely wrong in the United States, I know I got an ID that allows me to be somewhere else. And that to me is what you call it, Damani? Tranquil.
Tranquillo.
Tranquillo.
So I'm done.
Okay. Hey, I've asked my questions. Back to you now.
It's I think is it
No, Anthony, you got one here. What's the response from your inner circle?
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So let me go ahead and let me start off with
no, we missed one. It was William, you were gonna ask about the consequences for African Americans as a result of COVID. Then we go to
Oh,
Yeah.
so there we go. Let me go ahead and lead into. Let me read this.
That's why you need a good. That's why you need a girl in the group.
But I do too much. Okay.
Hang on one more second, because you know what we forgot to? We forgot to, in between the segments, to go with a few. We're getting a lot of comments. I hope that you guys can go and take a look at these when we're done here. But Katina was talking about the ceviche and the corvina fish. Oh, she likes the octopus. She said she was in heaven when she had that. And Linda Bronson, I think she was the one that said it's good to see y'all, and something about y'all good looking Black men. Okay, girl. And then W Wisdom, he was asking about, is there a way for expats to come and be involved in areas to show people about littering and basically to help, I guess, with the litter. And there are expat groups, Wisdom, that do that. You know, one of the ladies that I interviewed is in Costa del Este, Alisa, and they do that. They have a cleanup project, and it has, I'll agree, it has gotten a lot better. And then Linda also said that when the cops don't want her ID, she said sometimes she feels a little insulted. And she said she feels a little insulted.
Don't be mad. Don't be mad.
Also said that Damani is playing us. She didn't say that, but she said Damani can cook. And Damani said, must have said something about not knowing his way around the kitchen. And she was like, yeah, you do.
It's your blast, brother.
Yes, with your blast. And then Dana said that her husband Darren is an avid fisher and has totally spoiled her for fresh fish. She also has a daughter and grandson in Texas and a son in the family in Georgia, and it's very concerning. I know. And Karen Williams is talking about options, and that's what's up, y'all. Us having options.
Can I touch on something that Wisdom said?
Dana says, I also want to be able to vote in the U.S. elections once we relocate. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is very important. I don't want to abandon my my U.S. sisters and brothers and take my vote. So we're actually going to be transitioning into Panama and figuring all of that out. So I will continue to have a residence, a small residence in the United States. And so thank you all for your comments. I just want you to know that we are paying attention. And Anthony, there's one I want you to address personally, because he's asking about your military service. So when we get done, you can go back on and circle back around to that comment. So thank you very much. And William?
Okay. Before I ask the question, I do want to circle back on one of the comments that I think Wisdom made when he asked about, can you get involved in the littering here?
Mm-hmm.
And that brought up a thought that I kind of wanted to cover, and I hope we had time for it at some point. So Panama is a mostly Black and brown country. I believe it's like 96% Black and brown. And all of us come from the States with some kind of training. We have some kind of education, some kind of skills. Let me say it like the government said. We have some kind of skills, knowledge, and ability that can be useful and help the diaspora right here. So it's not just about leaving the States or getting a Blaxit or leaving something behind. There's ways to be useful and beneficial and help the people of Panama advance and grow. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on that. I know Damani and Reggie have been here longer, but
Yeah, I don't want to make it look like the Panamanians need our help. Okay,
right.
They are very intelligent, very creative. they are technologically savvy. But there are things that we can help with, just like in the United States. You can help at the community center. It's the same. It's no different. I want to dispel the notion that Panama is a third world country. It is not. You fly into Panama and you like, oh, damn.
I mean, Panama City.
Yeah, but there are, social things that you can do. There are groups that go clean the beaches. There are groups that teach, English. There's groups that give books. I mean, the same thing, we do that in Houston. It's no different, and it helps you get into the community. So I would, encourage people to do that and not to be in an enclave. You get a lot of people in Panama, they live in an enclave. Well, hell, they might as well be in Houston. If you're going to be in Panama, be in Panama. Yeah. So don't just, when you come, don't just try to hang out with expats. So anyway, I probably said enough.
Let me add to that and support that in a lot of ways. Ethan and I made a really conscious decision when we first came, and it was based on this premise. Nobody invited us to Panama. Nobody required us to come to Panama. We chose to come to Panama. So, this is their country. We are visitors. And so even though we look at something that's going on and we think, well, dang, why don't they do that a different way? Why don't they do it the way we would like to have it done, or whatever it is. But, I think it's important, and I think it's what part of what Reginald was saying, that we recognize that these are competent people. They know what they, and I would tell you something else that we often forget. They know their clientele. We're coming at it from having grown up being socialized in the US, where there's a certain kind of attitude about life, and you got to get it done right now, and let's not stand around, but everybody in the world is not like that. So one of the books that we read before we came here, I don't remember which one it was, but it said, don't be surprised if you go someplace and there's a long line and you're the only one in the line that's impatient.
Yeah.
Goes
back to Tranquillo.
Tranquillo.
Yeah. Don't expect my McDonald's service at a restaurant.
There you go.
It's going to be 30 minutes.
Just relax.
Get your meal.
Relax and in fact,
yep.
But it's still, it's an adjustment. And when we first got here, Ife had a saying, we would go someplace and get some business done, and Ife would say, hope you have all day.
It's an adjustment.
So, but you kind of
it's always getting better and more efficient though. I mean, because there is a lot of stamping, and paper going on still in Panama, but it is, they into the stamping now.
Especially in immigration. That's what I remember.
It's powerful. I think they feel powerful when they stamp this stuff. They look up at you like,
I still remember this.
I think that if I can just interject, when it comes to Black expats in Panama, the one thing that I really, and I'm glad that you brought this up, William, is the thing that I really want to encourage is for us to bring our gifts. And you're right, Panama don't need us. I love the points that Reginald makes to, remind us that we're not the all in the, beginning and the end. We're not the alpha and the omega. It's a whole lot in between and beyond, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of us come here and our time is different. So whereas there are people that need us in the United States, that need our skills. And, I'm telling you, the things that I believe in, I'll tell you the honest to God truth, I pay. I'm that person, I can't come to your meeting. I'm not gonna go to the rally. I'm not finna do that, but I will write you a check in a minute if I believe and support what you're doing. When we're here, a lot of us talking about options, right? A lot of us have moved, and one of the benefits of living in this country is that we've been able to rearrange our lives. So we are not chasing our tail 24/7 like we tend to do in the United States. So then you can decide, okay, what are the skills? What you come into this country thinking, what is it that I'd really like to do if I had more time in the United States? You know what I'm saying? And so, and when I came to Panama, you know, I decided early what my gift to this country was going to be. And my gift to this country was going to be helping Afro-Panamanian women who want to have a natural hair businesses, to coach them in business, in whatever training I can give them so that they can compete with me. Because customer service in Panama is getting better. It's gotten a lot better. I've been coming here since 2004. And when I tell you, it has gotten a lot better. It could definitely continue to grow and get better, but it has improved a lot. But here's the thing. If other people, if other foreigners are coming in and doing much better customer service and more experienced in presentation and everything, you know, the sisters that are working in these fields, they're going to be left out in the cold. So and then the other thing that I've connected with a women's organization in Cologne, and I've actually taken on at least one individual on my own. But here's the thing. I'm going to be doing training in Cologne, but I want to train the leaders in Cologne to be able to show them some things that they may not know about customer service and business management so that they can impart that on the sisters in their community. I think it's a lot more important and a lot more significant coming from someone in their community. So I ain't got to be up front, and I don't have to be, you know, the one that says, hey, I did this, I did that. You just do what you can to help, you know, in the areas that you see that they need help, you know, or that things could be better, just like in the States. That is all.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, gentlemen, changing gears a little bit, what do you feel will be or are the greatest consequences for African Americans as a result of COVID-19? Anthony, you want to lead us off with that one?
Wow. Biggest consequences. I would probably say, when we take a look at, I will say this. The results of the Tuskegee Airmen experiment with syphilis almost 50 years ago, and how that scarred our people, okay? When it came down to trusting the medical field, the medical personnel, that wedge has been there, lodged in there for so many years. But with COVID, it brought it to the forefront just how bad it really was for us when it came down to listening to doctors and really accepting the truth that was being presented to us with that look we give with that one eye, like, I want to believe you, but you know what? You know, you guys really stuck it to us a few years ago. So should we trust you right now? And because of that, we've lost so many of our brothers and sisters because of that mindset, saying, I'm not going to the doctors. I'm not going to be another experiment. They're going to somehow set me up to die. And they end up passing away because of it. Okay, they just chose not to go there with the medical personnel. And we can look back and say that, you know what, those 200 Black men back in, 50 years ago, they didn't ask to have that syphilis stuck in their bodies where they went home to their wives and passed it on, even though there was something out there to cure it. and they still chose to let them live with that disease. So when I think about COVID, yeah, we really got the short end of the stick because we were stuck between a rock and a hard place. We want to go to the hospital because we don't feel good. We should go to the hospital because we don't feel good. But based on how you guys have treated our forefathers in the past, we have our reservations. So that's my piece on that.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, we hear a lot about Tuskegee, no doubt. And I'm always quick to tell people, well, they withheld medical treatment for Tuskegee. So when you withhold medical treatment from yourself, you are now putting yourself in the Tuskegee experiment. So congratulations. Damani, you want to speak on it?
Let me, because I just have to say right off, I have no idea what the impact's going to be. So let me speak on what I hope that the impact is. It relates to what Anthony said. Number one, that we and that William just kind of underlined that folks will recognize that there can be a difference in situations. But what I hope comes from it is that people have had for a year the opportunity to participate in a lot of seminars, watch speakers in Zoom conferences, Afrocentric scholars sharing their knowledge. And I hope that people who, because before this, there was a nice event going on in Philadelphia, but if you weren't in Philadelphia, you couldn't go to it. But now there's so many of these events that are online. I have really been enriched by checking out information. Here recently, a great scholar, Runoko Rashidi, passed away. As a matter of fact, he's competing with us right now. There's a program for his 40-day ascendancy into ancestorhood. But there have been several tributes to him by 4 or 5 different scholars, Dr. James Smalls, and there's so many others, Tony Broder and so on. And these brothers and sisters who have spent their lives researching our people's history are sharing it free of charge to anybody who wants to listen. And I think, I do believe knowledge is a potential form of power. And so I really hope that one of the lessons that we've all learned is that there's more to life than what's on TV. That people like Dr. Greg Carr at Howard, Tennessee State University alum, who's dropping knowledge every Saturday morning. It's just incredible with Professor Karen Hunter. That people take advantage of these opportunities. So that's what I hope for, William.
Excellent, excellent. I don't think any of us are fortune tellers, but I'm gonna call him Reggie anyway.
All right. I kind of am going toward what was just said. I see it as an opportunity. Before technology people fought technology. They're like, you got to be in the office here. You got to come in. And after COVID, now working remotely is the thing. And I think it's here to stay. I know in my business as an attorney, I take depositions remotely. I've even had trials remotely, on Zoom. So that's what I look at. I agree with you 100% that it's to me, it's opportunity.
That's fantastic, because that's exactly what got us here. I think COVID and the remote work, the sensibility, is a key factor in us being able to be here now and continue to do and be employed. So I don't have any major predictions. I don't think, I will say this, I don't think the Black community will face any greater dire consequences as a result of the pandemic, because the pandemic is it's that rising tide that lifts all boats, except in a negative way. It's affecting all communities. I'm more worried about the ongoing you know, political climate and, you know, voter suppression tactics. And that, I think, will decimate us way more than people are going to survive the virus. People always do. I think that will end up more impactful. So that's my 2 cents.
What I really like is the ability to see the brighter side. And all of what you said is absolutely true. I mean, I built 2 businesses during COVID, you know, in the height of COVID. I mean, completely shifted. I have a book club that, you know, we only have the people that was in our area. Now we have people all over the world. And so I think that when it comes to the winner of COVID, it was definitely the internet. You know, because when you think about, you know, having to be at home, you know, with your family 24/7, having to teach your kids school, you know, the internet was the VIP. Absolutely, the internet was the VIP. The internet came through. With regard to the consequences, and I am not a genie either, a psychic, but what I'm concerned about for Black people is that, like I think it was Martin Luther King said, when America catches a cold, Black people get the flu. Okay, and I don't think that we've really seen statistically who's dying. I mean, I think we got used to seeing a whole lot of numbers. You know, this many cases, this many deaths, but I don't really know exactly how many Black and brown people have died as a result of this. And maybe it's so many of us that's why these, you know, politicians are trying to act like, you know, somebody's taking your civil liberties to wear a mask, because they don't care about people.
Well, you know, you bring up, let me say this, you bring up something important. It has affected different communities differently.
Yes.
My white friends, they don't know anybody that has died of COVID. And they're shocked when I tell them I know 7 or 8 people that have died of COVID.
Yes.
So they have a different, it hasn't started hitting them yet. And economically, it really hasn't hit yet, because a lot of people had, you know, the unemployment, and a lot of people were not evicted.
Yes.
And see, all of that's come to an end now.
It's coming.
So it's going to have a very negative impact or consequence here shortly.
Yes.
So, and we have to try to help those that we can help as a result of that.
It is coming. And not only that, I look at it like, okay, so when COVID hit, I think the thing that bothered me the most was hunger. It bothered me so bad that there were so many hungry Americans. Okay, that bothered me. And I said, okay, I need to figure out where I can, because like I said, I'm not going and doing stuff. I'm not, you know, but I will write a check. I've got to figure out who can I trust. That's our trash men out there blowing their horn this hour. But who can I trust to donate to that is really helping the community? So the one thing about COVID was like, we were all in the same store, but we were in different boats. And that's just like Reginald just said. His white friends are like, I haven't lost anybody. Where all of us know our story is so very different. We still losing people. You hear what I'm saying? Even after all of the advances and stuff. So I see the economic, as far as the jobs that'll be lost and never return. A lot of them are going to be like low earner jobs, and that's going to be us, right? I see COVID came, and then the real estate market went berserk. You know, everybody decided, you know what, this house is too small. We need to take it back to the suburbs. And then everybody's houses, you know, the real estate went up so high. Like right now, it's starting to kind of level off in the United States. But I mean, in the United States, you know, selling your house was, it was a way to make some quick money right now. But as the prices of those houses go up, that means we can't buy them. So again, we are continuing to lose wealth as a result of COVID. We're losing jobs. We're losing our lives because more of us have died. You're losing income in the family. You know what I'm saying? Our children. I know a lot of people who sent their kids to Huntington the whole time when other kids was trying to muddle through that laptop in front of them, and a parent that either don't know how to do the stuff or don't remember. But if you had money, your kids was at Huntington, you know, getting that extra attention. And I think it's going to make a difference. And then, you know, when you couple that with just all of the other things that we got going on already, and then on top of that, the whole political thing, I think that we're in for some rough times ahead. And I think that we need to prepare. And like Reginald said, take advantage of the things that have become opportunities and finding them. But I really do think that we're going to be the ones that hurt the most from COVID. And that's heartbreaking to me. And do y'all want to, let me do a couple of comments here, and then we're going on to our last subject. So what Wisdom was saying, and I want to be clear, Wisdom was talking about the trash and making legislation. He's talking about, you know, actually building policy, which I don't know as far as expats how that goes, because Wisdom, there ain't too many jobs like that they're going to give you in Panama, being, you know what I mean, where you're actually making and writing laws. Would you agree, Reginald?
Yeah. No,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to be making any policy changes. I think the best way to help is with community organizations, and there are community organizations that need your help. You know, so I think that's the best way.
Yes, and somebody is saying that too. Dana is saying, Wisdom, they definitely could pay people a wage to keep the neighborhoods clean and start a sanitation company with a fleet of trucks and create jobs. And then I think that sometimes with the trash in Panama is that some of these, the people like the ROP, you know, trash trucks can't get up in those mountains, you know, where some of the houses are built and everything. And then I think that sometimes like people that are up there, they don't pay for these services. And so I think that that's why sometimes it's neglected. So, you know, because there's people that do.
Let me comment on that for a second.
Okay.
We have actually pretty good trash service where we are. We're in the highlands. We're about 2,000 feet above sea level. In a little town, Soraya, we pay, just went up from $3 to $5 a month. And they just contracted it out. The district of Chame was doing it before, but they just contracted it out. And they come every Tuesday. They used to come twice a week, which was really unnecessary. So it's a question of having the system set up and then people being willing to pay to have their trash picked up, as opposed to the US where it's included in your city taxes and you don't have to worry about that in that way. But it's doable. But I agree with the comment about working with the community. And I have to be, you know, honest. Ethan and I have not done a lot of that, a little bit, but not a lot of that. But there are a lot of other expats who have, and we're real proud of them. One of the people who's listening in now, Linda Bronson, she and Ruth Rivera doing some amazing stuff.
I was going to mention them.
Yeah, and then up our.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, up our way, some expats did a couple of times did a trash pickup on the road, and I think it set a tone, because I've noticed they haven't done it but twice, and that was before COVID struck. But I've noticed that the trash along the road is not anywhere near what it used to be, and I think it set a tone for others. So, so you can do something positive in your community, you know, wherever you are.
Oh, yeah, you can. And speaking of Linda Bronson and Ruth Rivera, they are Black expats in our group. And a matter of fact, I'm scheduled to interview them on Monday about their group. And I think it's Proyecto Phoenix. And they help in their community. And their whole, concept is teaching people to fish, as opposed to, giving them the fish. And I will be releasing that interview as soon as I can. So you're right. There's a lot that we can do as individuals, and I think that we have the resources, y'all. And that's the other thing. We have a little bit more time, being here in Panama, and we have the resources. And I think that as Black expats in Panama, or whatever country you choose, because there are other very viable countries to choose from, is that we have to be careful not to come into the country and make it so hard for the people that already live there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff that you see right now is priced for expats. It's not necessarily priced for people that, are from, Panama and survive on a Panama wage. And so I'm not saying that we need to be apologetic about being able to have a little bit more money to live a better life in another country. But I just think that we need to be mindful about not coming in and making it so much harder for the locals. So whether or not you volunteer, paying a little extra, for people that come and provide you extraordinary services, if you have it, is a plus. And, sometimes, and I'm going to say this, sometimes we as expats, we come into Panama, I know in particular, and we talk about, gringo prices. Well, there's such a thing that I see that is the complete reverse, where gringos think they're supposed to get stuff for free. And listen, when you do that, I just don't think that I don't think it looks well on us. And I don't think that it's being a good neighbor. I really don't. And I'm just going to say it to your face. I really don't. You can do a little more, so do a little more. It doesn't cost, it's nothing to us. It's nothing to us. Okay, let me see. Somebody had given me some. Vicky Beck said, we've lost at least 73,462 Black lives to COVID-19 to date. She says Black people account for about 15% of COVID-19 deaths where race is known. And so I would have expected it to be more. You? What do you think? I would expect it to be more.
I would have expected it to be more.
That's still above the percentage of population they tell us that we are.
Yeah, look, that's what they had said.
Yeah, what they had said was 12%.
They had said, right? Dana says, as a respectful and resourceful residents, we can also be an asset wherever we go. And then Wisdom says, but what about the development of laws? We talked about that. It's, Panama is very protective over the jobs that they give to expats. And definitely could pay people a wage. Okay, so it's true, Dana says it's true that many whites didn't know anyone personally who contracted or died of COVID, but we had friends dropping like flies. Yeah, that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. So, all right, guys, I think that we are just about at the end of our conversation. The one thing that we didn't get to, who was going to ask the question about people support? Is that me?
No, there was a question about the inner circle. What is your inner circle?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Anthony.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Easley. What is or was the response from others in your inner circle when you announced, you and your wife, you guys announced that you were leaving the U.S.?
The response was overwhelmingly supportive. I would say, if I had to put a percentage number on it, maybe 85 to 90% was full support. Of course, people had questions. The people were shocked, no doubt about it. One of my friends, his first comment was like, "Really? Nah, I don't see you going anyplace else. You like that American lifestyle." I was like, which lifestyle are you referring to? The one where I'm getting my ass kicked by police? The one where I'm being targeted for subprime loans? Being passed over? I mean, which lifestyle is it? So, but overwhelmingly, people were happy and supportive. People had a lot of questions, had a ton of questions, culture, healthcare, economics, Wi-Fi. Oh my God. Yes, they have Wi-Fi.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right.
And I'll leave it at that. I see the time.
Okay. All right, Mr. Reginald, what about you?
Yeah, my inner circle is mostly those that I went to the academy with, and those that I shipped out with in the Merchant Marine or in the Navy. So, it was, it was business as usual.
Okay.
Most of them were just like, okay, when can I come down? When can I come see you? And then I got a bunch that said, why Panama? Out of all the places that you've been, why Panama? And then I went through they use US money. It's
Right.
not in a hurricane zone. It's
Right.
3.5 hours from Houston, those kind of things, property is
Right.
affordable.
Okay. All right. All right. All right, Damani.
Well, we're in a different time frame than William, because this was, almost 20 years ago for us.
Right.
So the one that I remember the most is a man who I consider my brother. I mean, we were ace boon coons, and when we told him we were leaving, I'm just going to take out the offensive word. He said, y'all N-words ain't going nowhere. So
I think we've all heard that one time or another. Okay.
But interestingly enough, he ended up loving Panama, loving it. But anyway, most people were more surprised, stunned, curious. Nobody was really negative that I really remember. But it really didn't matter, y'all. I mean, we I'd been in the rat race, 30 some years. I was burned out, I was working at Howard. I really enjoyed my job for years and years, but I was burned out. Working 50, 60 hours a week, meetings in the evening, on the weekend, working with students, and I loved it all, most of the time. But it was very stressful, and my wife was very supportive of me. And when we saw a clear way out, she's more intuitive than I am. I got to see it on the numbers. When she said, hey, we can do this, I said, well, let's do some numbers. I need to see the breakdown. And we did the numbers, and I was like, okay, so we planned from there. So it really, I hate to say it, but even our kids were supportive. They let us know they were going to miss us and all that, but they were more like, look, y'all have done this all for us all these years. Y'all do what y'all need to do.
Do you?
Right.
And we really appreciated that too. So we got here. My wife had already had published one book by then, wrote and published another one. And then in the last few years, we wrote one together and published it. So
You can tell us the name. Tell us the name of the book.
Okay. All right. Well, you know me, Charlotte.
I know why y'all so bashful.
I just happen to have one here. But,
There you
go.
But so Clandestine, it's available on Amazon. Search for Clandestine and Keene, Keene, and it'll pop up for you. So we stayed busy, And so our we were visiting back and forth so much to the States in the first, I don't know, 12 or 13 years we were here. We'd see people say, I thought you moved to Panama. We said, yeah, we did, you know, we're visiting. Can we visit?
Yeah. Well, and Panama is so close. I think that is just another big
That's
thing.
the beauty. That's the
And
beauty
and
of
I think that as amazing as we all are, I think that we have done really good at covering our topics and still staying within a respectable amount of time. So I want to thank all of y'all because you know we got some real minds on us. And there was one thing that the last thing, and I really like yielding to the brothers. You know, I really did, and I give y'all your props. I respect you. You are our kings. And I just want to, you can respond if you want to. You don't have to. I'm just going to have this last thought or this thing that I wanted to ask. When I don't know if you all have ever heard of J. California Cooper. J. California Cooper is a Black author who writes fiction, and she writes it from the slave's perspective or just coming out of slavery. She writes it all in broken English a lot of times, and it's always stories about good and evil and stuff. And she just happened to be one of my, favorite authors. And, one time she wrote a book and she was saying that she thinks that the reason, it's fiction now, but she was saying that she thinks that the reason that Black people are so likely to have high blood pressure and stuff is because of all the fear and weight that we've lived under our entire lives. It's like passed down generation to generation. And I've never forgot that.
I don't think that's fiction.
It doesn't say, I have not researched it, but it sounds true to me. You know what I'm saying? But she adds it in. And when she talks about, she must have knew a slave, because she talks about, this one sister, seeing how beautiful she was. Because she was working in the field all this time, right? And then when she went to the big house, she went by a mirror. She was like, whoa, I am the cat's meow. And she was 33 and had never seen herself. That's deep to think about. And I'm like, you got your hand raised, sir? Damani? I know this is clandestine. This is kind of clandestine stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. But I was going to underline what you said. I am absolutely convinced that retirement and moving to Panama has extended my life. It has definitely improved the quality of my life, but I'm sure that it has extended my life. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. And I, from a woman's perspective, I think about, the stories that I read and stories that I know of, just Black men. And what it must have been like for Black men, big, strong, healthy, able-bodied Black men to have to cower, in front of their women and their children because of a white man, or a white man calling you boy. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of mental degradation. And humility and how that transposes into different areas of our lives. And when I think about some of the things, when I have a 60-something-year-old husband who, has had to deal with, white women clutching their pearls or, their purse when they see him, with all of his 155-pound self, walking by, and how that makes you feel. And so we have some men, we as older people are probably aware of fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers who have had to live through some really hard times as far as your, being a man and being the head of your house. What do you think that some of the just outright recorded on video racism abuse and violence against Black men, how do you think this is affecting the psyche of Black men, and particularly younger Black men that just haven't seen it to this degree? And the follow-up to that is, do you know people, or can you make a recommendation as far as us receiving counseling? Do you think it's something we need to be talking about? Depression, anxiety, you know what I'm saying? That's the last thing that I want to put out there as a woman.
I'll jump right in to say that, yes, counseling. I think there's always been a stigma attached to it. And some of it is, in the past especially, it was well-founded because there were few therapists who could really relate to, understand, and help Black folks. But now there's a lot of people, mainly Black, but not all Black, who have been specifically trained and who come at the issues from a deeper level of understanding than was the case in the past. So that's number one. But the first question is, yes, of course, you know, as I said before, white so-called supremacy is a worldwide system, and it affects everybody. And what's often overlooked is that it affects white people very negatively, and we see it in their behavior. But Black folks are affected, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to try to get perspective on it, get help when we need it, not if we need it, when we need it, and go from there.
I'll chime in on the counseling piece as well. Before coming here, I know I announced to several of my inner circle that part of the transition here was meant to be a healing from the 51 years of onslaught, you know, of what I faced there. And I openly said I need to talk to someone on counseling because I know I have issues. I know I have PTSD. I know I have anger. I'm still incredibly PO'd about some of the things that have happened. And anytime I think about it, bring it up, it's like we visit. Like, you know, today was hard for me because I know where I was on 9/11, and it wasn't all about terrorism. There were some things that were going on that outside of that, and it made me revisit all of that. So I definitely need to talk to someone so that I could be happy, so that I can be, you know,
live your best life. Uh-oh, you froze. At least you smiling. Go ahead, Reg.
Yeah. Since he froze, I'll just say, yeah, I think counseling is important. You know, in my business, I see a lot of people that have endured trauma. A lot of people, I've had a lot of clients that have been abused by police. I've represented a lot of victims that have been assaulted. Also have represented people that have been in serious collisions and wrecks and things. So counseling is important, and counseling works. So I would encourage people, if they're having problems, to visit with a counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist, whichever, you know, to work things out.
Yeah. And it's a Facebook group for everything. I mean, you know, you see, I'm serious. Look it up. It's a Facebook group for everything. You know, I had a woman sat in my chair, and another woman came in, and one of my clients took a picture of the other lady that came in shoes. And I said, well, what's that about? Come to find out, there's a teak shoe Facebook group. I said, Lord of mercy, it's a Facebook group for everything. Are you kidding me? So there is, even if you don't want to, you know, there's a lot of free help out here. there's, you know, you know, you got to be careful about what advice you take. But then, of course, there's always, you know, pastors, you know, and people in the clergy, you know, that can help you. And of course, just the plain old word of God.
Let me say this. Let me say this. What you said about you have to be careful about who you talk to.
Yes.
Is very important.
Yes.
And you should make sure that they're qualified, and just because they're in the church,
yes,
don't mean they got it.
Exactly.
No.
So
the PK was going to tell you about that one.
That's across that is across the board. You know, I mean, there's a lot of information out here from individuals and from sources on the internet, but you have to be discerning and selective about the information that you accept, you know. And so
people should do their due diligence, especially in trying to find a counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist, right, because of the harm that they can do.
Yes.
So I think a person needs to look to their medical professionals, ask around in their community. Counselors can do a lot of harm, and they can do a lot of good. But I think you know, some things you don't want to Google. And I tell people, you know, I find a lot of people that got their law degree at Google, you know, university, and they are my best clients. They are my best clients, and a lot of income comes from them.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I just throw that caveat.
That is true, and I mean, honestly, that is true with anything. You know, I mean, misinformation is a big part of the reason that the U.S. is in the issue, in the big mess. You know, where other countries is just like, y'all can't come in without quarantine at this point, you know, in misinformation. So thank you for that reminder, because that really should go without saying, but we have to say it, right? We have to say it. You got to be discriminative. And I mean, even to the point where some people don't talk to nobody. Talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, girls and women, we are much more likely to be really kind of more transparent with our sister friends. That's what we do, okay? And we do it well. But with brothers, I'm talking about the brothers right now. Brothers kill me. How when y'all get together, if y'all ain't talking about football, basketball, or something like that, nobody is saying, you know, things is really messed up at home, and you know, this is how I'm really feeling. I found myself crying you ain't gonna tell y'all what. I found myself crying uncontrollably the other night, and I don't know, you know, what's wrong. I just can't see y'all doing that. So what I'm saying is,
we don't do it
that's why we
you,
need to talk about it. You said, well, I know y'all cry.
We don't do it around you, so I mean, we're not gonna talk about that, but we do talk. I'll talk about my peer group.
You need to talk about it. Okay.
Here's a good anecdote. I'm at my 35-year college reunion, and every 5-year class is there, so 40, 45, 55. And the men are in the bathroom, and some men in the 5-year group ahead of me are getting ready for a colonoscopy. And one dude is scared to death, and the other men are encouraging him. No, bro, you got to get it. It's fine. It's the best sleep you ever had. And I'm taking notes, because 5 years from now, I'm going to be
there. Yes, I'm going to remember that conversation. That's good. That's good. That's what's up.
We do it.
That's good. That's good.
But you know, Charlotte, we need to talk about that stigma that applies to all of us. And with all of the atrocities that we've dealt with over the years, over the centuries, that we're this tough race, that we've been able to absorb it all. And we thank God that we've been given another opportunity to move forward and to get over certain things. But we all realize we really haven't gotten over anything. We found a way to compartmentalize that, or place it someplace else, and just, you know, put it aside and don't worry about it. So we had that stigma that we need to get off our shoulders, that everything's okay, when we all know it's not okay. All right. So we need to get that first. addressed. Then we need to get out there and talk to somebody that's a professional, that's qualified to help us. But this stigma that we all have, that we're these tough people, that we can deal with all the crap that we dealt with over the centuries, and we'll be okay. We fell for it. So now we walk around like a badge of honor.
We drank the Kool-Aid.
Thank you.
We drank the Kool-Aid.
And it's charity.
And we are strong, but we really are a strong people. You know, I mean, how many, you know, when you hear a story about somebody jumping out of a 40-story building because the stock market crashed, typically ain't gonna be no brother or sister. You know what I'm saying? Because we know we are resilient. We are resilient people. And I think that sometimes with all of the things, you know, going against us, again, we talked about some really positive stuff tonight. We talked about options. We talked about, you know, the good that has been able to come out the COVID. But I think that we ought to just congratulate ourselves for being resilient. You know, like Silly said, I may be black, I may be ugly, but I'm here. I'm here, you know, and I'm telling you, people don't know what it's like sometimes. And we could just spend a whole lot of time down in that. But we have decided to rise above it, and to make, you know, to make the best life that we possibly can, and to encourage other people. And that's what I hope that tonight has been, an encouragement to other people that you have options. And so with that said, we're gonna take about 60 seconds, and I want everybody to give me a final thought before we close out. But I love you brothers to life, every one of you. I thank you so much for being a part of this, and this conversation will be made available on Big Will TV and on Locks Forever YouTube and Black Expats in Panama YouTube as well. So if you have missed it, don't worry. I'm queuing it up and then I'm gonna put it out there for you, okay? So let's start with Reginald. Give me your final thoughts, brother.
My final thoughts are that Panama or a foreign country is a good place to go if you have that option, and that it's doable if you plan, and if you do your homework. People can do it. I encourage you to do your homework and do your due diligence, and to look at all options, whether you rent, buy, or, you know, Airbnb, whatever you're going to do. You know, look at the best options, and look at, you know, how long you're going to be there, and what your goal is. Have a goal. So again, I applaud Black Expats in Panama for all that they do. I enjoy all of the side trips to Cologne, and, you know, Isla La Mama, or
Isla Mame.
Yeah,
and don't forget the
Isla
salsa night, because you know you the king of salsa, baby.
salsa night. You know, it's just a great time for all ages. I've seen things on the site talking about, well, where's the 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds. It's great for everybody, and it's doable, especially with technology now. And I look forward to seeing you down in Panama.
Thank you, Reginald. Thank you, Reginald. Let's go with Anthony.
Okay. I hope that people were able to see faces tonight and relate to what we all have been through in the States. And they're going through it right now. But now that you see faces that have felt the pain that you felt, and to a certain extent, we still feel that pain, but we chose to do something about it. And I hope that these last couple of hours were encouraging for you. If you really are looking at, wow, can I do this? Well, you're looking at a bunch of guys in their 50s and 60s that have struggled like you have, okay? They made a conscious effort, and they, like Reginald said, they investigated, they researched, they asked questions, and they made a choice. So we want to thank Charlotte, you know, for the Black Expats page and what she's done. And yeah, we just hope that you're encouraged by what you saw tonight.
Thank you. Big Will.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you so much for putting this together. First of all, Charlotte, this is a tremendous opportunity, and thank you so much for allowing us this window to be able to share our thoughts and experiences. Let me sum up my thoughts on this discussion really easy. Don't be scared.
And stop pissing in the pool.
You know what? You need to get out that pool. You need to get out that pool. You need to get out that pool. The whole U.S.
Look,
is
you're
a pool.
gonna go
You need to
down
get
in
out of it.
history for that one. I'm sorry.
I know. Y'all got to see that. Y'all got to see the episode where I say that. But the point is real. The point is real. It's about COVID. It's real. People are pissing in your pool right now in Texas. If you live in Maine and they live in Florida, they peeing in your pool right now. And it's all over you. You think you're away from it, but it's all over you.
Will said that the United States is one big pool. And it doesn't matter if you're in New Jersey, if Texas is pissing in the pool, you got pissed in your water. Pretty much.
And I don't want to live in a pissy pool, so we move. But yeah, don't be scared. Put your head down. I know it may seem daunting at first, but Chinese proverb says a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Put one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, you'll be here. And it's really not as hard as you think. It's just getting a plan together and getting some logistics done. Don't be scared. That's the main point.
I heard that. Damani, tell Ife I said hi. I saw her passing by.
Yeah, she's here. She's here.
Hey.
Well, I want to echo what all the brothers said. Thank you, Charlotte. We really appreciate you putting this together. I think sometimes we underestimate how helpful something like this can be to people who are maybe thinking about coming to Panama or any place. So I want to wrap up because I've talked a lot about peace of mind and tranquility, and I want to show you what peace of mind and tranquility looks like to us up here in the Highlands. This is our spot, and we call it Sunset Dreams. So when you come to Panama, you can name your own place. I didn't know that before I got here, and we were on our first trip here. We passed the place, had a little sign on the gate, and I asked the guy giving us the tour. I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Well, that's just the name they gave to their property." I said, "Oh, we can do that, huh?" So that's the Sunset Dreams. So I just wanted y'all to get a look at that. So
it is beautiful.
Yeah,
it is beautiful. Is it for sale now?
It is for sale.
It's okay.
For sale. And I want to mention this to you too. Today when I took a shower, I looked out the window while I was in the shower, and I'm looking at the Pacific Ocean.
Wow, that's kind of sexy.
So it's just a wonderful environment. Yeah. Tranquillo. So thank you, Charlotte, very much, and we appreciate it.
You're welcome, and we'll make sure that whatever link to your house for sale, it's a beautiful home, that we put it in the comments and description.
Thank you very much.
On YouTube and here as well. And so with that, I thank everybody for the love. Y'all didn't see my girl down here, Rose Johnson, but she's been doing stuff behind the scenes, keeping us together. And Rose, I just thank you. She's always there for me. I just love her. There are so many comments, and that's so awesome. So I'm gonna ask that we can't get to all of them because we gotta pull it to an end. So I just want to ask everybody that is on the call to take a look through the comments and respond to the people as necessary. I want to thank everybody that supports Black Expats in Panama. Our Facebook group is exactly that, Black Expats in Panama. We have one more relocation, cultural relocation tour this year, and it begins on December 1st. And so I'll put a link to that if you want to get a last minute ticket to that 5-day extravaganza. You can do that as well. And besides that, it's been real. I appreciate the knowledge. I appreciate the participation. And I just bid you guys a great evening and much love from my heart to yours.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Peace and
Charlotte.
love.
There
Now
you
get
go.
this video together quick.
Take care, y'all.
All right,
Ciao.
bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Corazón.